All right, let's see. First question, Zesty Esty wants to know, why don't I change my YouTube greeting? It's getting boring hearing the same thing over and over. What up, my dudes? Yo, dudes, what up? It's your boy. ¿Qué paso, mi amigos? I am Kier Gomes. Greetings, muggles, and welcome to... Fuck. Namaste. Oh, saw, dudes. Hello. Hi. Oh, hey guys, future presidential candidate Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, because apparently any celebrity with a Twitter following is now automatically qualified to tell me how much money I have to pay in taxes here with a little bit of a hot video. So I know you guys love hot videos. What's up, everybody? Kier Gomes here, and welcome back. So today we are going to do a Q&A. I'm really excited because I put up a Ask Me Anything on Instagram. I got a bunch of responses, and today I'm going to be answering 20 or 25 of those questions. I will not be answering the ones that I've answered before, like what's your favorite deck, or what's your favorite deck, or what's your favorite deck. Not going to be spending time on those, but more I'm going to be answering the questions that I think could provoke some good conversation down in the comments. So before we get started, please do drop a like on this video and subscribe if you haven't already. Without further ado, let's roll that intro and get you guys on your way.
Let's go.
All right, so also quick update. This is still my old space. This weekend and next Wayback Wednesday are the last 3 videos that I will be doing in here. After that, we'll be in the new place. So let's get into some questions. All right, so R&H Photography wants to know, do you ever get sick of the process, i.e. having an idea, set up, record, edit, export, and upload? Yes. There are times when I definitely get worn down or I'm not inspired. Unfortunately, sometimes I feel like you can see that in my work. So do I get sick of the process? Yes. Is it worth it? Absolutely. All right, Jesse G, the Fantastic Magician, wants to know, why don't you do street magic? Well, there's a couple of reasons. Number one, I got started with street magic. So when I started magic, there was no Chris Ramsey tutorial on YouTube or Alex Pandre, there was no YouTube tutorials. There was no access to magic in that way. So performing street magic really was the only way that I knew how to do it. It's not something that pays well. It's not something that pays at all in a lot of cases. Now I think it's easier for me to just network myself as a magician and get paid for a gig. But the other thing is I live in Arizona, and right now it's like 107 degrees Fahrenheit. That's really hot. That's abnormally hot. That would be, I think, 40 degrees Celsius or something like that. So it's hot. It's insane. Having kids anytime soon? No. T-Dog Magic. T-Dog, nice. My favorite opener. My favorite opener at the moment would probably be Apex Aces. It's a very hyper visual routine that doesn't require any intense sleight of hand. So if you're performing that for a spectator, it's gonna draw them in immediately. Will you do more things on your channel besides playing cards? Yes, if that's what you guys wanna see, let me know. I try to do what gets the best responses from you guys, and it seems like deck reviews are what you guys are into. So hopefully, that means we can branch out into some other stuff. I will not do puzzles. I will not do Chris Ramsey stuff. He does Chris Ramsey stuff, I do Kier stuff. So don't ask me for puzzles. Nam Wang 10 wants to know, which of your performance is one that you will never forget and why? There's a lot, and there's some that are really, really special to me. I think probably one of the best ones though was I performed some magic for this little girl and her brother, and they were probably, I don't know, 10 and 11 years old, or 10 and 12 years old. And this little girl was so enthralled with the magic that I Gave her a deck of cards, told her to practice every day, and I could see her with her little brother in the corner at this party I was performing at, just practicing, just shaking cards and making a mess with cards, and that was so inspiring for me to see. Because I remember that was kind of me, you know? Elemental Playing Cards wants to know, if someone hands you a deck of cards, what's the first trick you perform? So I think what you're asking is, what impromptu magic trick would I perform? Back in time, all day, every day. It's my favorite card trick of all time. It's my favorite impromptu card trick of all time. Be Weird Guy wants to know, what would I be doing if not magic? If I wasn't pursuing a career in magic, I would say I've always wanted to be an actor or a director, so probably trying to do something in movies or TV. KX Cards wants to know, what is the most creative aspect of card magic? Creating an original effect. People don't do that anymore. They see a tutorial on YouTube and they take exactly that, or the moves that they can do from it, and they don't practice the pattern, they just practice the move, and there's no creativity there. So I think really going out and performing something helps get those creative juices flowing, but really just creating something new that's original, that hasn't been done, that takes the most creativity. And it's not easy. Basil Halase wants to know, what is my long-term objective? I would love to be performing magic for a living. Favorite tuck box from your collection? That's from Yeah Official Benji. I don't really care about tuck boxes at all, but I would say this one probably, in terms of like the engineering of it. Look at how cool that is. Woo, woo. These are the Zone playing cards by Bacopo, by the way. Rafarv19 wants to know, best tip for magicians. The best advice that I can give you if you're a magician is to get out there and perform for somebody. It is good to practice. It is good to know a few things before you go out and try doing magic, because it can be very scary. I also think that YouTube has provided a crutch for new magicians to not have to go experience what it's like to perform magic. But I will tell you this. The best tip I can give anybody that's serious about being a magician is go perform, because you'll never understand how amazing performing magic is and that high that you get if you don't do it. That's what you do. You go out and you practice and you fail, and then you get better, and then you don't fail. And either way, it's the only thing that makes magic magical for us. Diesel Illusions wants to know, what is your day job? I'm not telling. Dan Yule's son, clever, wants to know, honest thoughts on the new Jerry's Nuggets. Is it a cash grab or a genuine release? I think if it was a cash grab, they could have reproduced the deck and charged a bunch of money for it, but they're not. It seems like the decks are gonna be $10. So I think it's a genuine release, and I am absolutely supportive of it. Spidey62 wants to know, favorite tattoo and why? I would have to say probably the one on my chest is my favorite. It just has the most impactful meaning to me. That's why it's so big on my... Did you stock back up on the SWE deck because they were $3? No, I didn't. I have enough of them still, so didn't need any more. Ryder Brooke wants to know, if you could get your hands on any deck in the world, what would it be and why? I think probably the Orbit V1 and V2. I have all the other ones, but to complete the collection, Orbit is one of my favorite brands, I would say that. Favorite notification to see and why? I think when I get a new subscriber, that gives me the most satisfaction, or a text from my wife. But if you could work for any card company, which one would it be and why? 100% would have to be Gemini or Orbit. Jakey is very sad. Oh, I'm sorry, Jakey. Wants to know, will you answer this question? EM Falcon 34 wants to know, what are your thoughts on an alter ego for a magician, and do you have one yourself? I think that if you're a performing magician, you have little quirks and little personality things that naturally come out when you're trying to perform magic, whether it's just a nervous habit, something that you do because you're nervous, or if it's just the type of jokes you have, whatever the case is. I think those little things create already a performance persona. I don't think having an alter ego as a magician is a bad thing. I don't have a stage name, but I do have a kind of personality that I take on when I'm performing magic, for sure. And I think every magician, whether they notice it or not, does have that if they perform. What's your backstory? How old are you? What was your first job? How did you meet your wife? How long have I been married, and what was my first deck ever? I'm 26. My first job, I think, was cleaning out abandoned storage units. It paid cash, so that was cool. How long have I been married? I have been married for, it'll be 2 years. My wife and I have been together for 5 years, so. And my first deck ever, I'm fairly certain, was just a regular deck of like bicycle rider backs. What are my thoughts on hype decks, and what are my 3 favorite brands of cards? I honestly, my thing with hype decks is they're printed in the same place as other decks. So whether you're buying a deck of anyone worldwide playing cards for 20 bucks or like a deck of studs for $3, they're printed in the same place. A lot of them are even stored in the same place on the same paper stock. So whatever makes them hype, I don't get it. I don't really care. My 3 favorite brands of cards though would have to be Orbit, Gemini, Black Roses. How do you practice? I practice just like anybody else. I sit down with whatever deck of cards I have. If I'm practicing card magic, and I think about what I'm trying to learn or get better at, and I do it over and over and over again. And then I'll do some risky stuff. Sometimes I'll try to perform it before I know it's ready, because I'll know under test conditions if I can pull something off. So practice, perform, mess up, repeat. That's how you practice. Jacob Burnham 52 wants to know thumbs or pinkies. I got both. Brian the World wants to know, do I think globalization and the access to all info will reveal all the magic in the future? Yeah, here's my thing. I don't have any problem with sharing methods for free online. Like, I think people are so lucky if they're just getting started in Magic. They're so lucky to have such a rich resource to draw from. I did not have that. So there's people that can learn things that took me a year. They can learn it in 10 minutes now. You know, whether or not they practice it or perform it enough to make it good is whatever. But the whole point is, I think it's awesome. However, as long as the people teaching these tutorials have the right to teach those tutorials, and they're not teaching anything that would be exploiting or stealing someone else's work, then I'm all for it. I think it's awesome that we can share magic. Cartamundi stock plus designs printed by the USPCC. What's your wish list? This is by Ray Minotti. So Ray, I think what you're asking is what USPCC deck would I put on Cartamundi stock? David Blaine, Split Spades. Balfright wants to know, do you remember the first time you felt confident as a magician? What was the first trick that helped? Yeah, I do, but it wasn't necessarily a trick that made me feel confident. Again, performance. I cannot say that enough. If you're performing a trick for yourself, you don't have to feel confident. It doesn't matter. If you're performing a trick for people, that's where that confidence is really going to be important. So it wasn't a trick that helped me, but I do remember the first time somebody's reaction to a trick really made me feel like an actual magician. But if you must know, it was 3-Card Monty by David Blaine. Best 2-logo card back design. Example, anyone worldwide, cherries, win, or peelers. Yeah, here's the deal. Organic playing card squeezers, Madison rounders, and the lit playing cards. Marianne234 has a lot of questions about hype decks. So to cover the whole topic at once, I think hype decks are hype because of some unknown algorithm that makes them hype. Usually it's quantity of amount printed, or if a company starts off and deems themselves a hype brand, they become a hype brand. My favorite hype deck is the Fontaines. I am a Fontaines fan. I think that it creates a very toxic environment though for cardists and magicians online, because people are now judged off of what cards they have and not what skills they have, which helps people that lack in skill, but really hurts people that maybe have a lot of skill and just use whatever deck they use. So here's the thing too, because I see this coming up a lot. It costs like $40 to ship to certain places internationally. So for the people that are on here asking me if you can have a deck or what do I think about international shipping, unfortunately, it does cost a lot. I have shipped decks to, like if I'm in the US and I ship a deck to you in India, it's gonna cost me like $40 plus whatever I paid for the deck. So a $50, let's say, package, really expensive for me to just pay because somebody, you know, wants a deck. I wish everybody had access to great cards, but if you don't, I assure you, you don't need them. My thoughts on it is don't be worried about the cards. You shouldn't be. If you want to be a magician, you don't need to worry about the cards. David Blaine made it so much further in Street Magic than anybody had ever seen before, and he used bicycles the whole time. So, how do you deal with people who shout out the secret of a trick during a performance? I've never had that actually happen to me. I think you'd be having to perform, unless there's like another magician in the audience that has no respect for etiquette. I don't know if you'd run into that. Ignore it if that happens. Completely ignore it. Don't even acknowledge it. Did I ever mess up a trick? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I've messed up a trick. I've messed up a lot of tricks. Over time, you know, you get used to having backups or safety nets. So if you do mess up a trick, you can just move into something else. Yes, I've messed up tricks. No, it's not always obvious. RH Photography wants to know, everyone asks what your favorite deck is, but I want to know what deck you own that you hate. All right, nice, very good. My least favorite deck that I own probably is the Memento Mori deck. I don't like it. Do you have any interest in other performance arts such as kendama or beglery? To be honest with you, Seth Steiger, I don't know what that is. So, no. Sorry. I hate to sound uncultured. There's more questions here about hype decks. No, I don't think they're worth the price. However, I do sometimes buy them anyway. So there you go. I usually try not to spend more than like $12 on a deck. If I really love a deck, I'll spend $15, but typically, no way, man. You can buy keepers for $7, and they're marked, and they're perfect, and they last forever, and they're beautiful. So, Diesel Illusions wants to know, how is the development of my next deck coming along? I can't say much, but what I can tell you is it is coming along. So, favorite movie of all time? Probably Fletch. If not Fletch, then probably the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Who inspires me the most in life, in magic, and in cardistry? I would say just in life, to be as a human, probably my mom and my wife. Those two are definitely my biggest heroes in life. And then in terms of magic and cardistry, just really in terms of being creative, I would have to say Jake Drew, probably one of my biggest inspirations. Alan Moore, who writes the Watchmen comic. David Blaine, of course, and then probably Chandler Henry and The Gentleman Wake in terms of cinematography. Satch SJTDYC says, what book would you recommend to a beginner card magician? Expert Card Technique all day. That's what you want. That's definitely what you want. I still use Expert Card Technique as a resource. What gaff cards would be included in my ideal deck? Example, double backer or duplicate. Yeah, actually, that's it. Double backer and a duplicate. It's most useful for me. The Be Weird guy wants to know what and who inspires you to put hard work into your magic. As of lately, I mean, I really think that where I get my inspiration from is just trying to be as good as some of the other magicians out there. And I'm not talking about magicians as in the online community. I don't want to piggyback off of anybody, but I think what really inspires me is seeing people involved in the community and not being competitive and not being a dick. Just people that want to share their passion with people that have the same passion. So that is probably the most inspiring thing. Lucas Magic wants to know my favorite cardist. Wang Spud, probably my favorite of all time. Nate Lex, probably second. Silas Buck, and Shano, probably. Okay, I don't want to say this person's username because it could be offensive for some people, but they want to know magic or booty. Luckily, I'm married, so both. All right, guys, I think that's enough questions for today. Let me know if you want to see another or a part 2 Q&A. I'd love to answer some more of these questions. Also, let me know if there's any topics we talked about in here that you would like me to do a whole video on. I have been wanting to do more discussion type videos, so definitely let me know. As always, guys, please do drop a like on this video and subscribe if you haven't already. Hope everybody has a wonderful rest of their day. I know I will. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Let's go.